Hello, I'm Pastor Keith Mozingo of Metropolitan Community Church of Baton Rouge. I want to thank you for clicking on the video of our worship message. Please go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/MCCBR to see the entire worship service, including prayers, special music, and communion. You're also welcome to join us every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. for worship service. Stay tuned after the message for information on how you can stay in touch with us.
Some years ago, I was struggling with a decision. Any of you ever had to struggle with a decision? I was ready for a life change. In fact, a life change had come to me that I wasn't ready for, but I had to get ready to change some other things in order to make my heart better, to make my emotions better, to make my mental state better. I had to make some choices. You ever had to make some choices? Were you ever just given a situation and you didn't want to make a choice, but oh well, this is what landed in front of you and this is what you have to do. So I did what I had never, ever, ever done before. By the way, I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the time. I was working full-time as a school teacher. I was pastoring a church full-time. I had been working on a relationship with someone, and I was exhausted. I was too tired. I was even taking classes, by the way, and all of that. Had a lot more youth and energy than I have today. But I had never, ever been to a counselor before. You know, that there was a stigma still about going to counselors. You know, religious people, church people were supposed to go to Jesus. And you pray about it, and Jesus answers you, and you get it solved without going to someone else. But the truth of the matter was, I needed to see someone, I needed to see Jesus in human form. And I started asking around and found a wonderful counselor that was a person of faith, and he ministered greatly to me. He helped me work through those choices I had to make. They were not pleasant, I will go ahead and tell you. But he didn't stop with dealing with that one problem directly. He asked me a couple of other questions that I did not have good answers for, I found out later. One was, he said, well, I know that you're trying to work through this very emotional time and all of that. How is your diet? And I said, well, because I'm so busy and because I'm so tormented, it's what drive-through is it today? Because that's about all I ate. It was drive-through. In fact, I usually ate it between two appointments, going from one place to the other. Remember sermon number 1, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Diet. What kind of diet are we on? And he said, well, there's the first problem. It's a diet problem. And I'm like, no, that ain't going to fix this. He said, we got to start somewhere. Because you see, while I couldn't fix the other problem, the real problem that I was there for, I couldn't fix that overnight. But I could fix my diets, which would help me in a much bigger sense. And it would help me work through the other. It was something tangible I could do in that moment. He said, no more drive-through.
Amen.
This is what I'm, writing on my little pad for your prescription. Thank you. Number 1, no more drive-through. Go to the grocery store. Don't go to the frozen food section. At least not that you just throw in the microwave. Go and buy food and spend some time cooking. And I agreed to do that. Then he went further, as if that wasn't bad enough. Because I was like, I don't know how in the world I'm going to have time to go to the grocery store. I don't know how in the world I'm going to have time to cook. But he said, do it. Second thing he said was this. What kind of exercise are you getting? And I said, well, does walking count? Because I'm walking around the classroom all day, and I'm on the second floor, so I climb the steps several times a day. He just looked at me and shook his head. He said, you know, we're in Chattanooga. If nothing else, he said, yeah, walking does count, but it doesn't count when you're working. It only counts when you take some time away. In other words, you've got to go out. He said, we have a walking bridge here in town. It's a beautiful scene. It goes over the Tennessee River right there. It's just gorgeous. You oversee downtown. It was an old bridge that used to, when the Model Ts were around, people drove across. But it's too narrow for our cars today. So it's just an old walking bridge now, and everybody in town goes and walks up and down there. And if you go, it was going to take you walk from one end, you walk to one side, well then you got to get back to your vehicle, so you got to walk back. It's going to take you at least an hour to do it. And I was like, an hour? I don't have an extra hour a day. He said, it doesn't count if you're in the classroom or you're in the church building. It only counts if you get out and you do something outside of all of that stuff. See, what I didn't see at the moment was he was trying to get me to refocus. He was trying to give me some alone time to stimulate my physical being and to stimulate my mental abilities, to calm my emotions and work through the bigger problem that I had gone there to see him about. Remember last week's sermon? Exercise. There was a purpose in this stewardship about us refocusing on our commitments. I said, well, what if I don't have an extra hour? I looked at my calendar and I said, Doc, there's no way. I can do this every day. I might can find an hour a week. He said, I'm writing you another prescription. Do you like dogs? I said, well, I love dogs. He said, second prescription is for a dog. I said, I don't have time to deal with a dog. He said, yes, you will. And I got a dog, a little Maltese named Donovan. He said, then you have no choice but to get out and walk and to be away from the inside and to be away from the four walls that you keep surrounding yourself in to deal with this issue. You get out in the open and you go walk away from what you're familiar with and you start dealing with the issues. And I guarantee you it will bring you better physical, better mental, better emotional. He said, and I'll venture to say, better spiritual health.
Yes. Amen.
So you have to refocus. You have to refocus. Well, all of that's fine and good, and you know, I did do that. I did start eating better. And I did start walking the dog because you have no choice. And it helped me work through the other inner turmoil that I had. It helped me work through the issues. See, he couldn't give me all the answers, but he could help guide me to the answers, which he did. Now, I will go ahead and confess this to you, since we talked about exercise last week. I have, over the course of my life, joined a gym 3 times. 3 times with the same results. I went through the first month or 2. I was committed to it. I was determined I was going to look better and feel better. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had no desire to be a big muscle person. And if you've seen these long, monkey arms, you know that ain't going to happen anyway. This doesn't work. However, I wanted to tone up because, as a lot of smaller built people do, as we age, we start getting this little tummy thing right here. And then we're built kind of like this.
Yep.
Right here. In fact, the last time I joined, it was in West Hollywood, California, before I moved here. And they came in and offered our church people this great discount. And of course it was West Hollywood. And all the hottest guys were there working out. So we had extra incentive to go. And I thought, well, maybe if I go, I'll make myself this time work to look like they look. Or at least somewhat like they look. And you had to sign a year contract. So you had to pay for a year, whether you used it or not, every month. And it was on automatic draft, so it came right out of your checking account. You couldn't forget to pay. I even went so far, I thought, well, it didn't work the first 2 times, and I need extra incentive because you can put me in the gym, and especially here in West Hollywood, and I'm just going to sit over in the corner and watch everybody. Because there were a lot of pretty sights. So I could just sit there and watch. But that wasn't what I needed to go for, you see. I need to know how to use this equipment that is here. I didn't even know the names of the equipment, much less how to use any of them. So they were offering a special rate for a trainer to work with you for 3 days, your first 3 visits. So I chose this young lady, and she helped me the first 3 times. And I want to tell you something, speaking from having worked in the school system for a long time, she would not make a good teacher. Because she ran me from one machine. Well, this is called this, and this is what you do. Blah, 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 blah. 5 minutes later, let's go over here and do this. And here's what you have to do here. And she was trying to get a year's worth of training done in 3 lessons. And I confess to you that by the end of the first lesson, I didn't know what we had started with other than that walking thing. We got to get your heart rate up. We got to get your heart rate up. Like, if I have a heart attack, I won't be able to do the other exercises. I'm not really sure why you're trying to exhaust me to start with before I'm trying to lift weights. I don't get it. But okay, this is what I have to do. Some of you are shaking your heads. You've been through that routine before. I must tell you that after the 3 lessons, I was so exhausted I only went back a few more times. And it did not do me any good. And I ended up paying for probably 8 months I didn't use. Let me get back to my counselor in Chattanooga for a minute. Here's the thing about what he told me about my diet and my exercise. And the reason I told you that long story about joining the gym several times. The only way it actually works is if you commit to it.
Yes.
And then follow through. You got to commit first, and then you got to follow through. If we're not really committed for the long haul, it won't last. I remember when I moved here, there was a couple here, still among us, been together 20-something years. And I asked them, when I first got here, I said, what makes your relationship work, this longevity? And without missing a beat, they said, well, from the beginning, we committed to the long term. This is it. There's no more other people for us. This is it. Now, our relationship is fluid and our boundaries are fluid and all of that. We'll make choices. But we will be in this until one of us dies. We committed for the long term. I have watched that couple in the 11 years I've been here. There have been a couple of times where one or two of you came in and said, I don't think they're going to make it. They're going through a really rough time. And I just smiled. I said, yep, they're going to make it.
Amen.
They'll make it. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure, Pastor. Blah, 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 blah. You just don't know. You just didn't hear what I heard. I said, no matter what you heard. I remember what they told me, and I have watched them over and over go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. They committed for the long term. Amen. They're going to be until somebody dies. Now, one of them might kill the other one. I say that. You know, that couldn't happen. I'm just saying, and I don't mean on purpose. I mean, you know. They were committed, and they're still committed. That's how that happens. That's how it happens. You can have all the good food you want. You can have all of the exercise you want. But if you're not committed to the program, it will not last. You'll burn out within a few months. I'll admit something else to you today. You know that I lost my dog Maddie, because I've had a dog almost ever since. That counselor told me that. And y'all know that I lost Maddie on June the 1st of this year. Would it surprise you that I've gone through a whole lot more drive-thrus since she's not been there in my house? Would it surprise you that I've gained about 10 pounds, most of it right here? Thank God for tight clothes and belts. This is all right here. Would it surprise you that in those few months I've gained about 10 pounds? You know why? Because I'm not exercising. I've taken 2 walks around the neighborhood. 2. Grieving changed everything. My life was changed in one day. In one day, everything changed. What I knew, what I had come to count on, what I loved, what I enjoyed, my companionship was all gone. In one day. And there was not a thing I could do about it. And I've lived in the grief. Here's the deal, though. This 10 pounds is not going to come out by itself. I have to, and my friend Carol reminded me the other day. She said, you need to get out and walk. Have you been on your walk today? Because she's walking her neighborhood. Because she has a dog. She has to get out and walk. She said, have you been out walking lately? And I said, no, I haven't. And I keep finding excuses. I keep not doing it. And I keep thinking how difficult it is without Maddie guiding me. Because she picked the route. It's the same route every day, but she picked it. And we enjoyed that time together. And it's just not so fun without her. But it's also paying on me. I have to refocus on the bigger picture. Because the bigger picture is that I wasn't committed to the walk without her. I was letting someone else dictate our walk and our exercise. Not that that was a bad thing. It worked for 11 years. But now I have to refocus on my own commitments. I'm doing better. To the grocery store. I've been cooking. Amen. Doing better. Doing better. just so you know, it wasn't that I didn't like the good food more than the drive-through food. And I'm not anti-drive-throughs because they are a convenience that we all need once in a while. There's just something, you got to have those McDonald's fries once in a while. And other things. I did like my own food better. It wasn't that I wasn't committed enough to the diet or the exercise to continue, but I was distracted by something. Yes. I let obstacles get in the way. It wasn't that I wasn't committed enough to my own. No, it was. It was that I was not committed enough to my own physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Got your spiritual ears on? Are you hearing the message now?
Yes.
I know I'm preaching to me today.
And me.
Amen.
I am. I'm preaching to me. But if I want a better physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual health, I've got to refocus on my own commitments. We had the perfect reading today about commitment, didn't we? Ruth and Naomi. We know the story. We've heard it. I'm not going to repeat it. But that commitment that Ruth had to her mother-in-law, she had a real commitment. She was going to go with Naomi back to her homeland, which meant she had to leave her own homeland, leave her own culture, leave her own family, her biological family, to go with her family of choice. Some of us know what that's like.
Yep.
But she was committed. She and Orpah both had an opportunity. And Naomi even told them, stay here with your folks. I'm going back to my people. I'm going back to my support system. Y'all stay here with yours. And Orpah, at first, had the commitments. She's the one that joined the gym, I went 3 times. But finally she gave in and said, I'll stay. But Ruth had that long-term commitment and refocused her commitment. In that moment, she said, no, 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 no. Wherever you're going, I'm going. Where you live, I'm going to live. She was in it for the long term. She was in it until death do us part. Well, Pastor, what was the nature of their relationship? I don't know. But I do know this. It was one of commitment.
Amen.
Of absolute commitment. And those of you that know the rest of that story know that when they got back to Naomi's homeland, back to Bethlehem, it was actually through Ruth, at Naomi's wisdom in keeping her close and guiding her life, that Ruth became one of the great-grandmothers of Jesus himself.
Amen.
If she hadn't have gone, if she had stayed back in Moab, that would not have been her lot in life. We may not have ever even heard of Ruth. If it wasn't for the genealogy of Jesus tracing his roots back, we may not have had a Ruth in there at all. Look what she would have missed out on. Look at what she would have missed out on had she not remained committed to what was important in her life. Today we have a choice once again. We have a choice. We're always faced with choices, but I love Commitment Sundays because it always forces me once again to refocus, rethink, what am I doing? You say, well, Pastor, we paid you to do so. Yeah, but you don't pay me to do all of it. Because there's some things that I have to do without anybody knowing. That's just between Jesus and me. There's sometimes that Spirit speaks and whispers in my ear, you need to do this, and you need to take care of that, and you need to go do this, and I have to do that. That's just our little secret, me and God. And I'm sure you do too. But it allows me this moment focusing, refocusing on my own commitment. That's why we do this every year. And it's not just about your finances, even though that's a good thing to start with. It's about my time and my talent. And in this year, I wanted to give you something tangible, like a good diet. Something really good, like the food after service today. Really good food. Not through the drive-thru. Out of necessity, or out of pain, or out of grief, or out of loss. But because I'm committed to having better health. I'm committed to having better physical health. I'm committed to having better mental health. I'm committed to having better emotional health. And I'm committed to having a better spiritual health. Last week I invited you to answer some focus questions just like we did the day before. I want to read some of your answers to the rest of us. I asked you week before last what brought you to MCC, and we read those answers last week. This week I asked you what keeps you here. What keeps you here in this place? Here are some of your answers. It continues to be a place where I can be free to be me. Amen. The message of love and inclusion. The friendly atmosphere. Spiritual connection. The Spirit is palpable here. The ministry of my community. The food. There was honesty. I asked you, what is the mission and vision I have? I wanted to know what you have as a mission and vision for this church. A safe place for the GLBTQI community to worship and grow spiritually. Justice, mercy, peace. Involvement in more community activities and growing the church. That's why we're doing what we're doing Wednesday night. It's not just about going to support Pride. It's about building our community and being a presence. Being a presence. To become a better known presence throughout the city. To have 100 people attending church. All right. Good for that. To break down every prison. To set every soul free. Spreading God's message. To belong. You know how important it is to belong? To show the world what love can do. Wow. What roles do I play in making this a better community of faith? Continue to attend worship. Invite people to church. Become more involved in the activities provided to the community. Accepting leadership roles. Tithes and support of pastor and parishioners. I like this. I have to bring a working attitude to the table. Sounds like a different thing. Pray. Help others in need. Hugs. Into that. We're really good at that. If you don't like to be hugged, tell us. To take and live the message wherever I go and learn at MCC whatever is needed for growth. Amen. Today there's only one focus question, and that is, what time and talents and finances am I willing to commit to in order to have a better life? Here's how I want you to answer it. You have your green cards, Our commitment cards are out there. If there's not one on your chair, look around. There's some pens around. Our usher, Rhonda, will be glad to take you a pen or a green card if you don't have one. This is an opportunity, and those of you who are, are joining us online, I put this in the e-news. You can print this off and mail it back in, or you can respond online to what your commitment is. Two things. One, yes, this helps our board of directors to be able to work on their budget issues for next year. So that, within a business sense, is a wonderful thing. But let's look at an even bigger picture. It is a way for us all in this room to refocus on our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So I invite you, while the music is playing, you've heard the song before, we hear it a lot of weddings. It's spoken by Rouge today only. Whither thou goest, I will go. Amen. I invite you during this song to fill out your card. You'll be able to drop it in the offering plate when the offering comes around in just a few minutes. And then during communion or after or before communion, we will, when the offering plates are on the table with the commitment cards, we will pray over those commitments and dedicate them to God. Would you take just a moment and fill those out?
Again, thank you for watching our worship message video on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified of other video posts. You can also watch our worship service in its entirety by going to facebook.com/MCCBR. You can watch us live on Facebook at 11 a.m. Central every Sunday. Visit our webpage at MCCBR.org, where you can find our calendar of events, as well as other information about our church and our denomination. Like our Facebook page so you can be notified of our other live events. Thank you again, and may you have a blessed week.
Whether here and now or another time, not even height or depth, whether strong or weak, in the face of the future or the powers that be, you are not separated.